Hello and welcome to another episode of MacStories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees and I have a very tan-looking Federico Fetici with me.
I am tan looking. I guess I've been. Yes, hello, hi.
Hi. I know you're just tanner than the last time you and I spoke, I think.
I have been sunbathing more this year compared to previous years.
Yeah.
Which, I know that, it's not great for the skin. I do use...
It's not great. My dad was a dermatologist, I'll have you know, and he would scold you quite a bit.
Well, I do use protection every time.
Good.
I have my sun lotion, 50 plus FPS, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I gotta be careful with my tattoos. And
I was going to say, how's the tattoo holding up?
They're holding up right because I care for them.
Okay.
So before I go to the pool or to the beach, it's like I cover all of my tattoos. I'm pretty religious about it.
Yeah.
And you can tell because this one that I have, for example, on my hand, you can still tell that it's light blue and dark blue and red. A friend of mine who doesn't care as much as I do, all of his light blue and greens turned into... Faded. They faded and they turned into brown.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's quite ugly, actually. Yeah.
Brown is not green or blue.
No. It's quite ugly.
All right. So when you say you cover them up, do you cover them with a shirt or you cover them with the SPF, with the lotion?
With the lotion.
Okay.
Lots of
that's
lotion.
what I thought you meant.
Lots of lotion. Yes.
All right. Well, you can tell I have a deep dark tan today too. If you're watching this on video, not really. I mean, I'm actually more tan living in North Carolina than I've ever been in my life. You would notice it if I took off my Apple Watch or if you saw my feet, which never see the light of day. But I was on vacation myself very recently, and I tried out a new town here in North Carolina that's right on the border of South Carolina. Okay, Federico? Now, do you have a sense for what North Carolina looks like in your mind?
I do.
It's like a long, skinny rectangle, kind of, right? It's longer, it's wider than it is tall. It's pointed at one end in the mountains.
Okay.
It's curved on the coast. And all along the coast, along the Atlantic Ocean, are the Outer Banks, which are the part of North Carolina that gets regularly crushed by hurricanes. Because what you can do is you can drive up the Outer Banks on this little highway that's literally... It's a lot like going to Cape Cod if you were in Massachusetts. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, but it might mean something to some people listening, which is when you go to Cape Cod, you've essentially got one road onto Cape Cod and off Cape Cod. And the thicker part of Cape Cod, you have some smaller roads and towns going off of those. But as you get closer to the end, it's narrower and narrower and narrower. Well, the Outer Banks is all narrow. It's very, very narrow spit of islands that are kind of a barrier along the coast, and it's sandy beaches, wild horses in parts of it, although I have not seen the wild horses yet. I do want to do that sometime. And it's just very beautiful. Now, we went all the way to the southern end of all of that, near Cape Fear, which people may know from, of course, the Apple TV show that's out now. Cape Fear is an island.
It's that Cape Fear? From... As seen on television. Okay.
Yes, because Cape Fear is not so much. It's not like a town. Cape Fear is more like an area. It's a cape.
I thought you were gonna say it's more like a state of mind.
No. It's where the ocean and a river meet, and this is the river where basically all the rivers in North Carolina and of course around surrounding areas all kind of dump into the ocean at this one point. And so in Southport, where I was staying, you could walk down to the water. Southport itself did not have really a beach itself. You had to kind of drive a little ways to get to a beach. But in Southport, you were on your way it's on the way to Wilmington for cargo ships, because Wilmington has a very large port where big cargo ships come into port and they unload stuff. And they have one of the trickiest parts in navigating between the ocean and Wilmington is getting up this river, because there are a bunch of turns and there's very little room for error for these gigantic, these are, these gigantic cargo ships with just hundreds and hundreds of cargo containers on them, stacked many, many, many levels high. And one day we were walking down from our hotel down to the downtown area, and we looked up, and there's just like this wall of ship that felt like it was like literally right downtown where we were heading, because they're so big and they go so close to the banks of where this town is. It's really kind of impressive. So that's where the boats go through. Lots of great beaches in that area. Cape Fear is an island that's just off of the coast of where Southport is, and you can see it in the distance. And the big boats go in between the two things on their way to Wilmington, which, of course, home of One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, and many other famous shows that are favorites of Federico's.
Yes. And I have some really important follow-up here. But I will save that for later.
What is that?
Please finish your story. I'll save that for later.
All right, I'm going to finish up with a couple of things. First of all, I highly recommend Southport. It's a cute town, has a handful of really nice restaurants, especially if you like seafood. There are a lot of good seafood restaurants there. It was unbelievably humid, like humidity like I've never felt before. Like when you walk out of your hotel room, it feels like you're walking into a sauna and your glasses steam up. It's just incredibly humid. And it was quite warm, but not like crazy warm. But anyway, we stayed at this 50s motel, like one of those drive-up motels you see in the movies or TV from like the 50s that are still around here and there in the United States. This one had been bought by a couple and cleaned up and fixed up and turned into an Airbnb and made really nice inside. But it had still kind of this quaint 50s motel vibe to it on the outside, which was fun. And from there, we spent a lot of time either sitting on the beach where we saw some crabs and pelicans and things like that, or going to fun restaurants and walking around the town where I had a bunch of good Southern food, including something that you've probably never tried, white gravy with sausage in it.
What?
White gravy. White gravy, Federico. Explain this a little bit on Ruminate. White gravy is something that I've looked at and always thought, that looks really disgusting. And you know what? It tastes really good. It's made with flour and butter and salt and milk or like cream. And so it's white and it's thick, but because obviously it has a lot of butter in it and salt, it tastes quite good. And to kind of spice it up, a lot of times people will put either like some cayenne pepper or just regular pepper. And a lot of times they'll put in like sausage for breakfast, if it's served with breakfast. And this was a breakfast place that had good Southern style biscuits and the gravy. They put the gravy over the biscuits and they give you some eggs. It was a whole thing. Very good though.
Okay. The very important follow-up that I mentioned. So I was scrolling through Instagram this morning, and there was a recommended reel for a basketball play, and for a basketball game. And as I looked at the caption, I realized it was part of the annual celebrations in Wilmington for One Tree Hill. And so I looked it up, and I'll have you know, John, that September 18 to September 20, 2026, there's going to be Hey 23. A callback to Tree Hill, the One Tree Hill reunion. Save the dates for the next celebration of the beloved Wilmington film, The One Tree Hill. Join the 23rd anniversary, starting with an exciting Friday pep rally in Wilmington. Saturday morning starts with a state championship basketball game reunion with confirmed guests James Lafferty and Chad Michael Murray. So, I think you should go, John. It's right after review season. Right after review season, you can take, a fun weekend trip. Go there, take a picture with James and Chad for me, and send me those photos. And you'll make a trip out of it. And there's gonna be, obviously, Jennifer is into One Tree Hill. I suppose you're not. So, but
not so much.
But it's a community event. There's a bunch of really kind people there taking pictures with celebrities. So I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah, it's like Comic-Con, but for One Tree Hill.
Yes. It's like that. You just go there and you wait in line and you take a picture, get an autograph or something, and you'll be like, hey, my weird Italian friend is really into your old TV show. And they'll be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who's this guy? Why does he have an Italian friend? Yeah, it's that weekend is perfect, the 18th, because the next weekend I'm going out to California to visit one of my kids. So, yeah, I could
How
like
far
stop.
away is Wilmington again from you?
It's like 3.5 hours. I mean, it could be done as a day trip, or it could be done.
No,
as
it's not a
sort of
day trip. Come on, you spend.
No, I mean,
don't
it could
know.
be done as one, but yeah, typically I would do that. I would stay at a hotel overnight
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And Wilmington, we did spend a little time on Wilmington on the way home on the last day, but it was so hot that day, and we were so tired that we didn't make it to lunchtime. We didn't get to go to any of the restaurants that we like there. So it might be a good excuse to go back and do the One Tree Hill stuff and also see more of the town. But yes, Wilmington really loves their One Tree Hill stuff. You can go into almost any gift shop type place, and they have some sort of memorabilia, T-shirts, sweatshirts, pins, buttons, postcards. I went into the Black Cat Shop. I don't even know if the Black Cat Shop. I think the Black Cat Shop was used as the record store, maybe, in the TV show.
Maybe, yeah.
But anyway. All right,
Yeah.
so
can I tell you that was fun? That was fun. Can I tell you a quick side story before we wrap up the episode, John? Which is also it's both a fun story and a cautionary tale. Okay.
How so?
Well, I'll start from the conclusion.
Okay.
I have been watching you here in the web app that we use for recording the podcast move at 1 FPS for the past 10 minutes. Okay? I can hear you fine. You're just been moving at 1 FPS real slowly. And
You're moving at maybe 15 FPS. I'm having some problems too with you.
I thought it was my end because Google Chrome is freezing up in a bunch of places, but there's a reason for it. So I was doing some research for my upcoming iOS and iPadOS 27 review, and I had an idea because I'm stupid like that. I figured I wanted to ask Codex on my Mac Studio, hey, can you look into the assets in the file system for Siri AI? I wonder if you can find the graphical assets for the waveform animation that Apple uses for Siri AI. And I also asked, I wonder if you can turn that into an interactive web app so that I can have my own custom Siri AI waveform animation so that I can record it or take screenshots of it. You following me so far?
Yeah, I am. Okay. I am. And your audio is actually breaking up. So you've obviously done something that has completely screwed up our recording.
I created this web app. I think the audio will be fine. I think it's just Google Chrome because my local audio.
I think so too, but I can only hear about every third word that you're saying, I think.
Interesting. So I will tell this story for the listeners and maybe you will be able to infer what I'm about to say. Anyway, I created this web app that turned the Siri AI assets from metal into web GPU assets. And to do that, I went in and enabled some experimental flags in Chrome, and obviously I shouldn't have done that because that completely screwed up my browser and my performance in multiple tabs. Do not enable the experimental web GPU flags because it's bad news. Hopefully John got some of this, otherwise he will get all of this when editing the episode. Thumbs up.
Federico, you've done it again. Good job. Well done. Whatever you did, I have not heard the last 5 minutes, but I'm sure it's a great story. Thanks, everybody, for joining MacStories Unwind again this week. We'll be back in another week, and Federico, he's going to fix his setup, okay? You do that for me, Tici, okay?
Yes.
Talk to you later, Federico.
Ciao, John.